Nice to see you on the chat. How are you doing? I'm here tonight with Luke Disable. Welcome, Luke.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. It feels like a power trip. I feel like Andy.
To feel like Andy is a great thing, I suspect. I've never known that, never known that privilege, but it's great to have you on. Thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to have you with us. And we've got some big news tonight. So we've got a few things to work through. Obviously, we'll look back at last game week. We'll look ahead to the doubles, but the big news really is going to be what are the doubles and how many do we have. So that's obviously the big news. So we won't spend too long looking back at the previous week's results, but yeah, we will take a few minutes to do that. Just looking in the chat, there's so many people in there here already. Great to see you all, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Luke, is there anything that you want to say about what you'll be doing tonight?
I'm just gonna. I don't want to take away from what you guys have been doing. I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat, see if there's anything I noticed that people want to look at. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the teams I'm thinking about targeting for the doubles that we're gonna find out, and that's about it really. Just here for any questions, I guess, if there's any.
Perfect. I'm sure there will be plenty of questions coming up for sure. So yeah, let's crack on and we'll get on with it. There's a lot to fit in again. So should we start off by reviewing the game week that has just passed and have a look at those games game by game before we look ahead to the doubles? So we'll whiz through these a little bit quicker than normal, but we'll go through it one by one. And Luke, if you've got anything to say, just jump in and we can do it. So Aston Villa 1, Middlesbrough 1. Can see that was a pretty even game there, and not too much to report in that match. Alan Boxic getting 3 chances, the most for Middlesbrough, and Ian Taylor again pretty involved for Aston Villa, who got some really good player ratings there. But Blackburn 2, Derby 1. Matt Jansen with a 10 out of 10 performance. Very even match as you can see throughout, and again we got Grabby and Bent getting involved up top, more in the shots than Matt Jansen, but obviously he was judged by the sim. Presumably there's that key passes there, Luke, that's getting him the 10 out of 10?
Yeah, probably. Keys thing seems to have the biggest influence towards their average rating. He's got 3, hasn't he? So that's probably why.
Yeah.
Well, along with his assist and goal, obviously, that adds to it.
Yeah, I suppose assist and goal, yeah, of course. And Derby there, not too many people interested in Derby players at the moment, I suspect. So we'll skip over that. Tottenham 1, Chelsea 1. This one was, as you'd expect, I mean, it was a lot less goals than I thought. I thought this would be a really high scoring game, but it wasn't. But Chelsea with 17 shots, Spurs with 11. And we can see there the key statistics. Lots of key headers there for, key tackles for the Spurs defenders. And Rebroff very involved yet again. He's looking like a good pick at the moment, I think.
Yeah, when I run the sims on this one, I had Chelsea winning it quite a lot, and to see they had more shots, it looks like they probably should have. But yeah, it was one that could often throw out 3-4s and all sorts of random. So
yeah,
to get 1-1 is just typical. But yeah, obviously the stats say it could have been a different game.
Yeah, Chelsea were definitely on top. They had loads of really good chances as well. Hasselbank there really involved, and Gronkia when he came on was really, really good, and obviously got the goal. So let's have a look.
Yeah, it's a shame he's not now, because he is fantastic when he gets the game time. All the wing backs are for Chelsea, to be fair.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah, I love Gronkia. Zenden as well, if they ever change formation, is great. Bolton 2, Newcastle 2. So Newcastle obviously struggling here with injuries at the moment. No Alan Shearer in this game, and it was a pretty even match. Bolton there's some Rob Lee, Rod Wallace, both involved in the attack. Bruno and Gotti getting a couple of shots away before he was injured. He's on free kicks as well, which is interesting for a budget defender. And Newcastle there, 3 shots for Court and Bellamy each, and not too much else to report there, I don't think. Fulham 2, Arsenal 4. Now this was one of the highlights of the game week. Well, depending if you owned him or not, but for me it was one of the highlights of the game week. Thierry Henry getting a hat-trick. That's pretty big news. I know you're not a big fan of form, Luke, but do you think he's popping back up on radars?
Thierry Henry, I think he never really should have left anyone's radar. It was just the red card. I mean, I had it in my plan to actually have him for this game, because it's just such an open game, as you can see from the stats there.
Yeah.
I really wanted to cover him, but obviously just injuries, red cards, threw that out the window. So yeah, I just think he's just a great pick. It's just obviously trying to fit him and Van Nistelrooy in your team is quite tricky, isn't it? Especially if you want to cover Varane or Beckham or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ipswich boys are kind of allowing it, I guess. So it I think they've got the people who've been doing really well. Like, is it Chelback right near the top? Has got
Yeah,
Henri and Van Nistelrooy and stuff.
yeah,
It's working.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're both point scoring very well, aren't they? You see, there loads of shots for Arsenal in this game. Expected an open match and got it. All of the Arsenal attacking players involved going forwards, and Henri actually in the air doing pretty well. He's competing for a lot.
He's a beast. I love Henri.
He's a great player. Steve Marley as well. They're 2 goals for Fulham. He's in my zombie team, so I was pleased to see those go in. But he's doing well, and obviously Sahar's dropped straight back out, not even on the bench. Callum Willock was on the bench ahead of Lewis Sahar in this game, and Barry Hales.
I think Sahar had an injury for this game.
Oh, yeah.
That might be why. But yeah, shame we haven't seen Sahar. It does happen some sins, unfortunately.
Yeah. Ipswich won, Southampton won. Another man of the match for Herman Hreiderson, who's absolutely bossing it. We'll talk a little bit about him later on, I believe. Ipswich really dominant in this game, but Southampton come back 82nd minute to snatch an equaliser. Again, you can see Ipswich just all over them going forwards. Fullbacks getting involved with shots as well, which is interesting, and Clapham getting a key pass as well.
Yeah, I mean, go if you wouldn't mind just going back to Ipswich stats. So Hreiderson 3 key passes, and then obviously winning all the headers as well. He might even be on some set pieces. I think sometimes that happens. Well, I guess we'll have a look at him later, but that might be where he's got some of his key passes from.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely doing amazing. So that's 6 man of the matches out of 12 games. He's literally got man of the match in half of his games this season, which is incredible. Southampton, Lundekvarm's getting some really high ratings as well. Actually, Southampton are obviously a lot weaker team, but Lundekvarm is getting some decent match ratings. So if you ever want to jump on Saints players, he might be one to think about maybe.
Yeah, he's often in the sort of the top 20 at the end of the season for average rating. I think it's just because he's constantly under the cosh and he's really good in the air, so he's always got a chance to get a decent rating despite them shipping goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Leeds 4, Charlton 0. This was the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, and Leeds absolutely dominated Charlton. 13 shots to 3. They just totally, destroyed them. And again, Leeds, Alan Mabry there. He's not nailed, but he's a $4.5 million defender. 3 shots on goal, 2 on target. He got a clean sheet as well. What do you think about Alan Mabry, Luke?
Yeah, I think it's just basically any player who plays in the wide positions for a top team. It doesn't even matter what calibre of player. As you can see, Stephen McPhail, he's actually an alright player, like creatively in centre midfield, but he's not got stats for a winger. He's not got the speed or anything like that, but it doesn't really matter because the AI just plays for crosses out wide. So any player who's playing in that position. Another one's Elliott for Newcastle's been thrown there a couple of times, 4.5 defender. So if they get those spots, they can just get attacking returns. And again, it shows here it's just where the computer sort of generates most of their attacking points from.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I quite like him if you can afford him on the bench. I feel like you could take his points when you get him, but it's a risky pick. Charlton, nothing to report here. They were terrible. So they're having a good sim in general, but this was not their day. Liverpool 4, Leicester 2. Vegard Hegem got man of the match, and I believe, he got a couple of assists for Liverpool. So if he can nail down a spot, he could be a good pick. Overall, Liverpool weren't great. So Leicester actually have more shots than Liverpool, and Liverpool have had a really poor start to the season in terms of their points and performances. So not a great one for them again. There you can see Leicester, James Scowcroft obviously being a bit of a target man for them with 15 attempted headers in that game. And for Liverpool, we'll just go back to that quickly because we didn't spend long on that. You see Sherlin there doing pretty well, and Fowler also getting a couple of shots away, but really that wasn't a great game for Liverpool. What's your feeling on Liverpool at the moment?
Yeah, they're tricky. They're just, so many of their players are rotatable. They've got injuries. They never really blow teams away. See Fowler winning no headers up front. That's a bit of a problem. Kind of need your forwards up front to win headers in this game to have a chance. And their wingers aren't the best. I mean, Biscan's not really a right winger, is he? He can do okay there, and Barmby's not got the best stats either. So I think they need a few players back, to be honest with you. Yeah,
they might have actually pushed Hegem up into midfield, I suspect. We're looking at it when Biscan came off, they brought on a fullback, so maybe.
Oh yes, they will have. So almost certainly. They never change from 4-4-2. So
yeah, it's one to watch. Man United 6, Everton 0. Absolutely smashed Everton. Paul Gerrard got a 3 out of 10, which is our lowest rating of the season so far. But Man United showing what they can do, which is destroy teams from time to time. And actually, the stats are not any different to what you see in most Man United games. I think it was just, you saw that Paul Gerrard 3. I think Man United just put their chances away today and had a bad goalie against them.
He only made 2 saves according to that. Then
let
in 6.
Exactly. You know, when you're outsaved by Barthez, you know you're onto a bad thing.
Yeah.
And then you can see again, as normal, Van Nistelrooy, just incredible stats.
He's mental, isn't he? I think when I saw the lineup and I saw Cole was in it, I was actually quite worried for Van Nistelrooy, because Cole often ends up being the poacher and it steals the goals, and then Van Nistelrooy, because he can do it all, ends up more of the creator like York. So I was thinking he's not going to get the goals and Cole will, and then obviously Cole got that brace early on, and I thought, here we go, and then obviously Van Nistelrooy still came through in the end, so it was fine.
Yeah, Cole 4 goals in 3 starts, 4 sub appearances. Dwight York's not got any yet, so maybe he'll get that place back. Who knows?
I mean, Cole's stats there for an actual finisher are just mental.
Yeah,
finishing, acceleration off the ball.
He's a great poacher. Everton, again, similar to Charlton, just a bad day, so don't think we can take too much away from that game from them.
No.
So last game, Sunderland 2, West Ham United 0. West Ham's mini 1-game revival is over. We'll see whether they can get it back. But they actually played well. So 14 shots by West Ham to Sunderland's 9. And yeah, it was a good performance by West Ham. They were just unlucky, I think. Phillips really involved. Sorry, are you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say I think it's just the typical home advantage that you'll see. It's just in these games where it's quite close, and often the away team could even do a little bit better, but home advantage is just such a thing in this game that they just end up taking the win away, I think. Yeah. They dominated in the air, though. There's Landers and Phillips there, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
centre-backs are battering.
Yeah, that's impressive. Tame as well, doing nicely at the back. And then for West Ham, most of the shots going to Paolo Di Canio with 5, although Canute did come off in 54 minutes. But West Ham still in trouble, I think, deep trouble. So that's a quick look back at the week, but really all of that is just warm-up, it's foreplay compared to what we've got, which is the double game weeks and the confirmation of the League Cup games. So we'll get into that in a minute. I can't remember whether I forgot to say this or not, but Andy is obviously not here tonight. I've seen him in the chat, so nice to see you, Andy. Welcome. Do chip in with anything you want to say. We just thought it would be good to mix it up a bit. Andy could have a rest, have a week off, and that's why we brought Luke in. I can't remember what we said, but that is why Luke's here. So mostly it will still be me and Andy, but yeah, that's where we're at. So should we move on to League Cup?
Let's do it.
Right, I'm going to try and do it game by game rather than give it all away in one hit. So Charlton, this is Charlton's 3rd round tie. Charlton knocked out Newcastle in the 3rd round. 2-1, 2 goals for Jason Newell after Craig Bellamy scored in the 1st minute of that match. So
there's been a running thing actually on James's stream about will Jason Newell score. I can't remember who's been saying it now.
Oh yeah,
someone. I think could be Bricky. I can't remember who it was now. But basically,
I think is it the Sheffield United guy, the Blade.
It could be Blade. Yes, I think you're right. Actually, yeah. So he has scored.
So he scored. He scored twice in the League Cup. There you go. He's in. And Bellamy with 1, but I don't know. To be honest, I can't remember. I don't think this has any impact, this one, but this is still the 3rd round, still catching up. Right, who else? I know that we'll do Chelsea Leeds last because I know that's the one that really people are very excited about. And it's good to build up to the best bit, right? That's the rules. So Liverpool beat Walsall 2-1. So this is a game with implications. You can see quite a weak Liverpool team there. Lots of rotation. But they managed to beat them. They actually got a result. They didn't outplay them, but they managed to get through.
It's not far off their A team the way their injuries are going, to be fair. Yeah,
that's true. So Liverpool are through. So I think the implication of Liverpool winning that game means that they... Oh, I've got to make sure.
There's no double in 17 now.
Great, that's what I was going to say. So no double in 17 for Liverpool, and they will double in 16. Right. It's Leeds, Chelsea, and who was the other one that we need to go over?
Man United, Middlesbrough.
Man United, Middlesbrough. So this is also a big one. Man United defeated Middlesbrough 3-1 with a full strength lineup. You can see there. So you can see there York got a goal. So did the postman Johnston, and 2 for Van Nistelrooy. But that means Man United go through. So Man United and Middlesbrough will play in game week 17, and this means also that Middlesbrough will double in 15, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the double's on in 15 for Middlesbrough, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one was already confirmed, I think, in 16. Is it 16? 17, I think it is, actually.
Yeah.
But it was already confirmed, yeah.
But
look at that. Dwight York straight back in. Andy Cole bombed off. 2 goals not good enough.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, he's dropped, yeah. It's pretty harsh, Fergie. So Heskebo is actually saying it keeps the possibility of... Oh, I've lost it from my chat. I don't know if you can see it, but Heskebo said it basically keeps the possibility of 17. Can you see that?
Being open for Arsenal and Newcastle if Charlton also beat Arsenal in the next round. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. So I'm trusting Heskebo on that one, but have to keep an eye on that one for a potential. So let's go to the final game, and this is a big one. Chelsea Leeds. Leeds beat Chelsea 2-1.
Wow. Look, fail with a 10 again.
Yeah, and Ian Hart with 2 goals as well, which is pretty massive. So this game went all the way to extra time.
2 penalties. Classic CM.
Yeah. Ian Hart scored in the 82nd with a pen. Forsell then in 84 equalised. Albert Ferrer sent off in the 114th minute. Ian Hart gets the winning penalty on 115. So that means that we have 6 confirmed matches for the coming game week. So it's going to be a massive one. What's your... I did give you a little heads up on it, Luke, so you did know before you came in, but what's your reaction to that in terms of how it's going to shape up?
I mean, it's kind of gone as expected, I guess. Man United were favourites and Leeds were favourites for this one. Looks like it was a lot closer than it should have been. So I personally, my team's in a position where I think free hit probably makes the most sense. So I think that's what I'm probably going to do. So I think when we go over some of the potential doubles now, I can talk about some of the games and maybe who I'm looking at or something. But I think for me, it makes sense to free hit just because of how I'm set up. I mean, some people are prepared for this well in advance, so yeah, they might on different strats.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So lots of excitement in the chat, which is good to see, and yeah, just got confirmation there from James Planet FPL that he is going to be streaming on Wednesday and Thursday this week because of the large double game week. So massive shout out and thank you to you, James, and also to FPL Captain for putting that together. We'll be having 2 streams this week, Wednesday and Thursday from 7:30. So that's also very exciting. So we can thank the fixture gods for doing that, and we can thank James and Captain for putting that together. So very exciting.
Unlucky for Bowyer in that game as well.
Yeah, so big news as well here. Lee Bowyer off injured. He's actually out for 3 months with a torn groin muscle. So that's pretty huge news. And actually, that to be fair, so Leeds missed game week 15 and game week 16. So immediately there's no big problems. But obviously, Alan Mabry, who we were talking about before, do you think he becomes more of an option with? There's Bakker they've got as well. But
I mean, yeah, I would expect Bakker to go there, but they've had so many injuries; it's hard to know really at the moment. But also, I think it just adds, Stephen McPhail will get rotated less now because sometimes Bowyer plays in centre midfield. I'm also gutted for Bowyer. I just think he's a great player at that price for 7 million. He just has no luck at all this season.
Yeah, well, as well, to be fair, with 3 months out, he'll also miss the double game weeks that they have in January, so that opens up a third lead spot.
Gutted.
Yeah. So just to go back quickly, because we haven't got penciled in to talk about chips at all. You said you're going to free hit.
Yeah, I mean, I just think because of the way the fixtures have worked beforehand and afterwards, and obviously the teams that are involved, they involve a lot of players that you wouldn't really want in your team afterwards or may not have at the moment because it's basically the lesser sides that are playing. So I think there's 2 schools of thought for me, really. You don't really bother with it, as in you might have a few of them and you just kind of ignore it and hope it isn't a blinder, or you free hit and just cover, 11, because you can easily get 11 double hit players. I mean, obviously, if you've got a bench boost and you're set up, that probably is the better strategy overall for points, but I don't think anyone will be in that position. So for me, it'll be free hitting. The problem is trying to pick out the good games amongst it because... I mean, nearly all of the teams that are playing each other are the worst ones, and they're all sort of Rep 12 teams, so that causes a few issues. I do think in this game, for example, it is a lot more predictable in certain sense. So when you've got one of the big boys at home to a weaker team like Leeds and Charlton, it doesn't even matter that half their team's injured. You just pretty much know that's a guaranteed 3 or 4-0 win, and you slap your captain on the striker, and he should do pretty well. And that's pretty much across the board. And when you look at the doubles in this, there isn't really, apart from maybe the Chelsea-Bolton one, Chelsea are a little bit less consistent, and maybe Spurs at home to Everton. There isn't really any of those games where you could be dead cert who's going to win them. So I think as a result, there's going to be a huge variation and sort of luck element in this week. So my personal strategy will be to focus on the teams that have got a really good home game, so at least one kind of banker in there, and sort of treat the other as a bonus, and then also to focus on players who are going to get bonus, because I think it's nailing down attacking turns is going to be quite hard. So if you can just fill out your team with bonus players,
you've got
a good chance of racking it up.
That's a good shout. I see. So Tala, I will have a look at the League Cup in a minute. Andy Martin has just made the point that I was going to make. Great minds think alike. The question is from Andy: are United and other single game weekers worth free hitting out? So I've got the double game week matches on the screen at the moment, but just to go back through, so single game week teams like Man United are at Newcastle, which is actually a good tie for them. Arsenal play against Tottenham, who have got a really leaky defence. Liverpool are against Charlton, who aren't very good, although Liverpool are struggling themselves. I mean, what do you reckon about that?
It's incredibly tough, isn't it? In terms of just the individual matchups, I'd say Arsenal at home to Tottenham is probably the best one out of all of them, along with probably Man United, just because they're Man United and Newcastle are one of their favoured ones. So you can see it now, can't you? That you put in a Boxic or someone, or Rebrov, because they've got 2 games, and then Henry and Van Nistelrooy as captain will easily match them in just 1 game. I think it could happen. So it's a real teaser. I mean, I'd love to have Henry for this game. Arsenal just seem to batter Tottenham most of the time in this fixture for me, and the same for Man United and Newcastle quite often. So I think someone like Veron, if he plays, could be quite good, because those striker slots are so key, and maybe if you just want to cover the Man United game, you can cover it maybe with Veron. Me personally, I still haven't made up my mind, but I might even just go into it with Henry and ignore one of the other doublers.
Okay.
I mean, I can't see Rebrov scoring at Arsenal, for example. I mean, he could, obviously, but so it's kind of like, will he do as well at home to Everton as Henry will do at home to Spurs?
I mean, I feel a bit conflicted, because I mean, obviously I don't have the choice to do it, but I've got to say I feel like I wouldn't be free hitting in this week, just because if I had those players from those teams, I'd be reluctant about taking them out. I would aim to bench boost if I could, but that Ipswich Middlesbrough match, if you've got Ipswich defenders, is probably going to scupper quite a lot of bench boost teams, I would imagine, because you'd be quite happy to bench those players. Well, at least I would. So I think it's a really tricky choice, but I'm quite glad that it's going to be some different tactics up there. I can see some different people in the chat there, just having a little look through. Brendan Davis, my single game week bench will be Sereni, Veron, Fowler, Stolzers, plus 11 2-gamers. Has to be a bench boost for him. So
it's a no-brainer for him, isn't it?
Yeah, that's big. FPL Irons, I'm not using my free hit, as I have 7/8 doubles in United and Arsenal assets. Yeah,
he's fully covered. Yeah,
and Rich
so these are the people who've been smart and prepared.
Thing is, it's hard to prepare when you don't know, I guess, isn't it? But like Rich P,
True.
No free hit for me, 3 Borough, 2 Spurs. So there's going to be quite a lot of different tactics and strategies on display by the looks of things. So let's just have a quick look ahead at the fixtures this week then, and then Luke, I'll give you free reign to chat about anything you want to, and if you want to bring me in you can, but if you just want to chat away for a few minutes you can. So I'll just quickly go through them. So on the Saturday we have Arsenal Spurs, Charlton Liverpool, Leicester Sunderland, Middlesbrough Ipswich, Southampton Blackburn, West Ham Fulham. Sunday is Everton Aston Villa, Newcastle Man United. So Everton Villa play again on Wednesday, so that's something to be aware of. And Monday we have Chelsea against Bolton. Now Chelsea are also a double game week team, and they play again on Wednesday, so very short turnaround for Chelsea between those 2 games. So we've got Villa Southampton, Blackburn Leicester, Bolton Middlesbrough, Derby Charlton, Sunderland Chelsea, and Spurs against Everton. So Luke, if you want to, I know you've got a few things you want to say about these, so if I let you take it away, and if you want me to get anything up, just ask for it and I'll get it.
I mean, I've done the most of it. The thing I'll say is that because of what I touched on before about a lot of these low reputation teams, what you can pretty much bank on is nearly everyone who plays at home will play in attacking mentality. They do it in virtually every game they're at home, regardless of who they're against, apart from some of the really big boys. So in all these matchups, every team that's at home will be attacking, or they should at least try to attack. And the defensive sides will often not be defensive because they're obviously a level, they don't really see them as a threat. They're the same sort of reputation, so they'll play on a normal mentality, which is the usual for away. So as a result, you probably won't see many clean sheets because no one's trying to defend for their lives. But at the same time, I don't really think you'll get that many goals, even though that's a pretty bold statement in CM because goals fly in all over the place. But I think because the level of play is not quite up to it. It's not like what I touched on before about the predictability of Leeds at home to Charlton. You're now relying on a Scowcroft, who's probably a bad example because he's been doing pretty well, but suddenly him to score 2 or 3 goals isn't as common as one of those other guys. So I think you're probably going to see a lot of 2-1s and a lot of games that are quite unpredictable. And as a result, that's why I think I'll be looking at the bonus players over those 2. I'll focus on the teams that have got one really good home game of the 2, hope to get some attacking returns in that, and then just look at some bonus players to fill the gaps, I think. And then maybe, for me, as doing a free hit, still have the likes of Van Nistelrooy or an Henry or a Veron in there, just almost as a safety net, because I still think they can match some of these players. I mean, so people like Svensson, their strength comes in the fact they play 37, 38 games. He doesn't really do that well for bonus, so you're basically relying on an attacking return over the 2 games, whereas Veron gets 1 goal or gets a brace as a 10, he's easily outscored him. So I think it's going to be really tricky. I've still not fully made my mind up whether I will free hit or just pray that nothing bad happens. I mean, I did this before with Charlton when they had the double. I ignored Charlton and it largely worked out for me. It was only pretty much Yule that was the one who did okay, and not many of the others did. Doesn't mean it's going to be the same this time, of course, but it's just that's just my feeling at the moment, that it's so hard to nail down. I can run the matchups of these multiple times and you'll see the game swing both ways far more often. Usually I can get quite a good idea of what the result will be or the average, whereas these ones are all over the place.
It's going to be a bit of a lottery, isn't it? I mean, there's not Middlesbrough, I think they've got Bolton away and they're advertised Ipswich at home. That seems to me like one of the strongest matchups.
I think, it's Chelsea are clearly there. Spurs are there for the home Everton match more than anything. And then Middlesbrough are probably a top 3, I would say. I mean, they're just the best teams out of the ones that are playing anyway. I would say they're probably the ones that most people will be looking at. But it's always the way in normal FPL as well. In a double, there's always some surprise hero. Be Paul Jones for Southampton or something. You just don't know. That's part of the problem.
So, I mean, Paul Jones is not going to be in many free hit teams, I imagine. But you never know. Maybe he will be. Maybe he's got the save points in his locker as well. Interesting. So, I'm going to ask people to put it in the chat as well, just to see what people are thinking. But I'm really interested to know in potential captains, what people are looking at. So, do put that in the chat. And so, my question would be to you, Luke, who is your captain going to be? And my other question is, how would you feel about a Chelsea player as your captain with them having 2 games in 3 days?
I think they probably make sense. I think Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank will probably be highly captained. I might have Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. I also really like the look of Melchior. If Stanic is still injured, if Petit's got an injury, I think there's a chance they might get a couple of clean sheets. And we've seen from these wing backs that they can get really high ratings. I think he got max bonus, Melchior. So with their injuries at the moment, there's a chance Melchior will play both games, possibly both at wing back or at least one at centre back, wing back. And I almost feel like him picking up bonus is more likely than Jimmy Floyd going mad in both games. So actually, I like Jimmy, Melchior, and then I still like sticking it on Van Nistelrooy or Henry, believe it or not. I really like Henry and just roll with it. I mean, Boxic is another shout, and Rebrov is obviously he's doing bits at the moment. You could rely on that Everton game, but I personally think Jimmy Floyd will be the most captained in this game week. We've
got some interesting calls. So just looking in the chat as it comes in. So we've got Scowcroft triple captain suggests FPL James. I don't know if that's James Alapran. But, so we've got Johnston, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Rebrov. I mean, there's a couple of Ruud van Nistelrooys, Henry. So there is going to be a real mix of captains this week. No one else is saying Mario Melchior, though. Would you believe that? But you might be the only one there.
I mean, I'm the man who's triple captain Balassi in FPL, so
Yeah.
don't follow my calls.
That is about the most damning indictment you could have given yourself there, mate.
I'm a dreamer. What can I say?
Exactly. Like, it's good to be different, right? So what we'll do is we'll do some Q&A at the end, which we'll pull out of the chat. But we'll move on from fixtures for now. What I'll just quickly do is I'll whiz through quite a few fixtures because people are asking for that. I've seen Ben Crellin's in the chat. If you're not already following Ben Crellin 2 on Twitter, then he is the man for fixtures. But I'll whiz through ahead. Just one thing to say before I do whiz through ahead is that sometimes the game takes a little while to catch up. So I'll talk it through as best I can as I do it, but there might be things in the fixture schedule that aren't necessarily going to happen. So let's see what we've got. So this is game week 15. Game week 16, we see these fixtures. No Leeds in game week 16. They also don't play in game week 15. So Leeds Blackburn has gone from game week 16. And we have one double game week match in game week 16, which is Liverpool Fulham. And Liverpool previously played on the Sunday, Fulham previously played on the Saturday. So we've got Liverpool Fulham. That's a tasty double game week for Liverpool in 16. 17, we see Spurs against Liverpool and Middlesbrough against Man United. But that Liverpool match is going to go because, or at least I'm pretty sure that Liverpool match is going to go because of their League Cup commitments, I think. So I only expect that to be Middlesbrough v Man United that night. But all of this is said in the context of trust Ben Crellin above me. So let's whiz ahead. So that's 17. That's 18. Game week 19. Game week 20. Game week 21. Game week 22, which is a blank game week. And I don't think we'll be getting any more games in that game week. Is that a potential free hit week, Luke? Or do you think you just roll with the fact that there's the strong teams in that and you go with it?
I mean, yeah, right now, instinctively, it looks like you roll. If you've got 2 or 3 Man United, 2 or 3 Arsenal, a couple of Leeds, people will start bringing back in by then. I think Fulham are quite popular and so are Ipswich, so I think that's going to be an easy one to cover.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so that's blank game week 22. Game week 23. And game week 23, we now have Newcastle versus Arsenal put in game week 23. So that is new information as well as Derby versus Leeds, game week 23. So I think this is the evening, though, that could be FA Cup third round replays. So these games could still move if these teams get an FA Cup third round replay. But at the moment, that looks like a decent, small but decent double game week. And then I think Leeds versus Blackburn then is the final one to note there. That is, I've lost track of the game weeks, but 23rd of January, Leeds versus Blackburn. And I think that's all we've got at the moment in terms of double game weeks. Yeah, so that's all we've got in terms of double game weeks. So that's where we're at. So that is the fixture update. We'll just have a quick look at the League Cup as well for the people that are good at doing fixtures. This is where we're at with quarter final. So only Arsenal or Charlton to be decided, and they'll go to Liverpool. So we have Preston versus Man City on Wednesday the 5th, which is double game week 15. Then we have on Wednesday the 12th of December, we have Arsenal versus Charlton in the 4th round. And we also have quarter-final ties between Leeds, Everton, Man United, Hull, which means that the one game that hasn't been scheduled is Liverpool against Arsenal or Charlton, and I assume that will go into that 19th of December slot, which is why the Liverpool match will be cancelled in game week 17. I believe. Sound about right to you?
I've just blanked out for this. I mean, that's why I spoke to Ben Crellin last night about the fixtures permutations of what was going to happen, just so we'd be prepared for this stream. To be honest with you, let's just leave it to him, I think.
Yeah. Go and check Ben Crellin too. There's also other people who are really good at fixtures out on Twitter. Planet FPL, Talon, Adeem. There's quite a lot of people who have been doing bits and pieces, so go and check it out. We'll do some Q&A at the end, but should we do a club by club run through of the news like we normally do? And there's quite a lot to cover in this as well, but we're doing all right for time, so we'll do a club by club run through. And Luke, do jump in if you've got anything that you want to say. I'm going to sort by condition because you had quite a lot of midweek matches. So Kanu was already injured; he's still out for a month. Dennis Bergkamp is on the verge of a return at 90% with 1 day to go. And in fact, what I'm going to quickly do before I do this is just remind you of where we stand. So these are the Saturday fixtures. And then we have Everton, Villa, Newcastle, Man United on Sunday. So these players all have an extra recovery day. And then Chelsea, Bolton have 2 extra days of recovery. And obviously some players have got an extra 5 days still before they get to the middle of this game week. So let's bear that in mind as we look through. So one thing, Francis Jeffers, is he a good option now with Carnu injured and Bergkamp? Bergkamp's back, but Carnu's out for a month. Francis Jeffers an option?
Yeah, I mean, Jeffers is usually the preferred striker for Omri anyway, and it's usually only Kanu who kind of trolls him. So the fact that he's out, I think, is really good. I mean, obviously Bergkamp can play as the AMC on occasion, but I think for 5.5 million, he can get goals. Again, you've run enough sims, you can see anything. I've seen Jeffers score 4 goals at home to Spurs in this double game week. So
nice.
It's the kind of player who turn things upside down. So yeah, I do really like him at that price. You just have to accept there's always a small chance that he could obviously be dropped at any point.
Maybe it's the sadist in me, but I would like to see Planet FPL James's reaction to Jeffers scoring 4 goals against Spurs. I
could post the screenshots if it will make him feel better.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully for his sake that doesn't happen. We've also Andy Martin. Thank you, Andy. Good point. This is why you're a great streaming buddy. Who's been sacked? We'll cover that on the club by club. But the first person to be sacked is at Aston Villa, and it's John Gregory who has gone from Aston Villa. So Villa is sitting 15th. They've had a pretty poor run of games there. You can see 2 draws, 3 defeats in the last 5, out of the League Cup to West Ham, and he is gone. So bye. And just a quick thing, Luke. You're saying you're not 100% sure, but you think that the assistant manager will come in and manage the team.
Yeah, so I think in the Intimate they use the assistant manager. As you can see, 4-4-2 was no preferred style of play, so it's not exactly the most exciting change. So I imagine that's probably what we'll see.
Yeah, so you might see a 4-4-2 for Aston Villa. You can see here, injuries-wise, they've not got any, but Mark Delaney is on 80%. He's the main one there, I think, that's relevant. Cashlow, 80%. I don't think anyone's going to have most of his players. Staunton's on 92%, who'll be popular. Yeah, not much to report of Villa. Blackburn Rovers. So, again, not much to report injury-wise. Everyone's looking in good condition. We'll have a little scroll through, but yeah, everything is looking fine there at Blackburn. So, we'll move on through.
Lasso, star player, playing at wing-back, 4.5 defender.
Oh, yeah. Is that this week? No, that was last week that he joined, wasn't it?
Yeah, he played this week as wing-back. The problem with Blackburn is obviously they rarely use that formation. It's only usually at home, so in the away games he won't be wing-back at all. He'll be sat in goal with the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Still not a bad pick potentially at 4.5, I reckon.
No, he's gone to a pretty poor team because often he can do really, really well for assists and goals. I don't really understand why, because his stats aren't overly great, but he seems to just have this knack of popping up with assists all the time.
Is he a set piece taker? 15.
He potentially could be.
Yeah. So that's Blackburn. Just have a little. They've also signed a player. This is why I need my notes in front of me. Where is he?
Centre back, isn't he?
There he is. David Weatherall is the big transfer of the week. So Lasso was last game week. This week, David Weatherall comes in. He's signed for £3 million from Bradford, where he's had an 8 average rating. He's played 18 games and scored 3 goals in the Championship. 3 man of the match. Potential bonus point magnet, but he's coming in at 4.5. What do you reckon in brief on Weatherall?
Yeah, I think he'll dominate in the air. He'll probably go straight in. I think it's just if you've obviously got Lasso, who's playing wing back at 4.5, is probably the slightly better option. I do actually like Blackburn have got they've got a home game against Leicester, as we know, struggle to defend. So I think the home game against Leicester is what I was talking about, like when there's one game in the doubles.
Yeah.
They're the ones away to Southampton. Obviously, they're a really bad team as well. But the fact that they're away, because it's a Rep 12 team, occasionally they won't play that 7-2-1. However, they've done it every time in this sim, so I'm hesitant to say they'll change it. But occasionally they'll roll out 4-4-2. So it could just be sod's law. They decide to actually attack Southampton for once and then end up being one of the good teams for the doubles. They've already got that home Leicester where they'll go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
And Jansen's he's a pretty good player over multiple sims. It's taken him a while to get going, but he's starting to show it now, I think. So
yeah,
eventually a differential.
Andy Martin's asking what you think about Janssen. Andy messaged me before to say that if he was on tonight, his differential tip would have been Matt Janssen for the double game week.
Okay.
What do you think
I
about?
can see that.
Do you like that?
I can. I mean, the home game against Leicester's a real potential. The thing is, the striker spots are just so sought after, and with the likes of Boxic, Rebrov, Jimmy Floyd, Hasselbank, Sturridge, I think it's going to be a brave person who goes away from those ones, and that's without Van Nistelrooy and Henry.
Yeah. Tugai as well as another potential pick. He's a good player in the game. Just sort of ticks along. You're probably not going to get a massive haul, but you could easily come away with 10, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's just a consistent player, isn't he? He can easily get a high average rating and an assist in one of the games.
Yeah. So Ash in the chat is asking, what's Rep 12? So Luke's made some brilliant videos about different teams having different reputation levels, and basically the worse that a team's reputation level is in the game, the more likely a team is to rotate against them, to attack them, and the less likely. So because Southampton are Rep 12, Blackburn probably, well, they may not set up to defend. Is that fair?
Yeah, so because they're the same, they may not see them as a much of a problem, and then therefore might attack slightly more away. We haven't seen it yet this sim, but it does happen a few times. So there's a chance they might not play 7-2-1. Essentially, it's like when we saw when they played at home to Arsenal, they went to their 7-2-1 because obviously Arsenal are so good. They were in fear of them. They've got a high reputation, so they played their away formation at home as a result. So it's just something to be aware of. But like I said at the beginning, these teams, a lot of them, they're all 12, 13, 14. They're all very close in reputation. They're playing each other.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be too many surprises in their formations.
Yeah. Right. Bolton Wanderers. So Bruno and Gotti is out for 3 weeks with a twisted ankle. That's a new injury. Won't affect very many. Ricardo Gardner is back in light training. He still has 2 months to go.
Yeah.
But he's 90% fit. Can
you imagine if they play him?
I wouldn't expect him to play, would you?
I mean, I wouldn't imagine it, but he's in that 90% threshold now, isn't he, where they kind of do. But this is what I mean about the grace period, depending on the injury. If that's a broken toe, it's a 1 day grace period of 90% orange, and when it's a broken leg, it's up to a month.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't expect him to play, but you never know, I guess.
Yeah. I'll be happy to get him back. I love Ricardo Gardner on this game. He's so good. Right, Charlton. So we've got a new injury here for John Robinson. 2 weeks with a broken toe. Again, that won't affect too many. Luke Young is on an orange injury. He's at 43%, so he could come back in for that second game with a double potentially. And you can see here they've obviously had a reserve game, I would suggest, because they had a midweek game as well. So probably it's the midweek game, isn't it, in the League Cup?
Yeah, League Cup, yeah.
But really, the only real first teamer there, Jason Newell, he's up to 95%, so there's no real problems there.
Yeah, players generally will gain 7% condition a day, so you can kind of, when you're looking through these, we already looked at the beginning when they're playing on the different days, so you can kind of work out that if they're 2 or 3 days away or whatever, then they're going to be getting around 7% a day.
Okay, that's good information. I didn't know that. That's helpful. Chelsea. So Emmanuel Petit, he has got a few days to go. Now, gashed leg, that's one of the injuries that can be a bit slow to recover from, I think, isn't it? Where you could come back at 60% when you're fit. So he's a doubt, I'd say. Yeah,
I don't think he's going to play the first one. The second one is a possibility, however, by that, because aren't Chelsea playing, is it 5 days, did you say?
In 5 days, yeah.
Yeah, and as he's pretty much nailed Petit, I mean, he should probably come back in, I would imagine, for the second one.
Okay. Desai is at 90%, and he's out for a week, so he is well in contention to play. Gallas also at 90%. He's only got a day to go, and their first game is in 2 days, so Gallas is basically fit.
Yeah, I think both of those will probably play, and are obviously at risk of getting injured again. That's the problem with if you pick them for the 2, you might miss out on the second one.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I think with Chelsea playing 2 games in 3 days, that could be a bit of a minefield, really. You'd almost hope for an early substitution for your player so that they can get a second run out.
Yeah. This is why I was saying about Melchot at the moment with potentially having 2 games, because he's got Stanic, as you can see, on low condition there, and you've got both their centre-backs potentially either out or injured for one. So, you've got a chance of playing both the games. Yeah,
Stanic at 42%. He's out that first game, you would think, but maybe back for the second. Zola's on 86%, but because they've got 2 days to go, he should be okay. Hasselbank's been unhappy for a while because he wants a new contract. But apart from that, there's not much else to report. Mark Bosnich is doing okay at Rotherham on loan. Not great though. Ranieri still has the job, so Chelsea was not the manager to sack the second manager this week. There's someone else.
Sadly.
Yeah, I know. I'd love for him to go.
I'd love to see less rotation, more solid formation. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, totally. We have to wait. I think he'll go eventually. They're doing badly, aren't they?
Yeah, it happens quite a bit. Graham Ricks.
Graham. Oh wow. Yeah. Daryl Powell is on 90%. He's got a few days to go, but he'll be in contention to play. But obviously Derby. So Derby, their next game is in 4 days because they missed the Leeds game on Saturday. So
yeah,
Derby.
I think that although they've got a good game home to Charlton, obviously they've only got one, so I don't think many people will be looking at them at all.
And they follow it with Liverpool away, Tottenham away, Fulham away. So
yeah, it's not great.
Don't buy Derby players. Is probably the one takeaway from the stream. Everton, Joe Max Moore 48% out for a week, and Abel Xavier is out for a week at 90%. So Xavier in contention to play. Everton play the game tomorrow again. They had a midweek League Cup match, which is where you can see some low condition, but basically they're all pretty okay. Not too much else to report there at Everton.
I mean, is it Watson at right wing back? He's got 2 games. He's been doing okay, and they're home to Villa on one of the games, which Villa are very, very leaky. So you never know.
Yeah. David Weir as well. He's got a 7.31 average rating, so he's been getting a bit more bonus. 2 man of the matches in there. In fact, let's just have a quick look at players that play a lot. Yeah, David Weir is their main man for match ratings. Alan Stubbs is the other one actually. He's got some attacking returns as well.
If you go to competitions at the top and change it to league, you can then click the average rating.
There you go.
Change it to league. I mean, as at the moment it includes all games.
This is league only, but it's just got the loan players in there.
Ah, right. Okay.
So,
yeah, I didn't realise you clicked it.
Yeah. So really, Stubbs and Weir for bonus there, right?
Yeah, it's the average tackles, as you can see there, the 3.3, 3.9 and stuff. They really pump up the average rating, so that's usually linked to bravery and aggression.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so Everton for a little punt maybe. Fulham, someone said, is Teagan the man to have gone? He is not the man to have gone. So Fulham keep their manager 2.
We need Teagan to stay in the game. He doesn't care.
Because he's an attacking manager.
Yeah, we need to keep him for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Fulham are a gift.
They need to improve soon. Louis Sahar is on 27% condition coming back from injury. So they only play 1 game. They don't have a double game week. So, I mean, I guess if you've got Fulham players, you hold them. But is that a fair assumption? Or do you think maybe not?
I guess it depends on your strategy, doesn't it? I think they're good because they've got the double coming up 16 with Liverpool. So I don't think anyone will be shipping them unless their strat fits around it. I think West Ham they're playing West Ham, and I think West Ham have got a really good game again. It's another one of those single matchups that, we saw what Joe Cole can do. You never know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, well, we'll come to Joe Cole and West Ham, but they haven't got a double game week, have they? I don't think West Ham.
They haven't.
So we won't come to Joe Cole and West Ham in that case. So Ipswich Town, they play Middlesbrough in the first game. You can see again some weaker players there who have played during the week. There wasn't any European football, was there? No, they lost in the League Cup. But basically everything's looking fine and dandy for them. Marcus Stewart remains injured and out. Nothing else to report there.
We'll click Horizon if that's okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. There he is, Star Man.
Yeah, this guy's been killing me.
Yeah. So you like it? I saw Andy in the chat much earlier was saying that he was tipping Horizon for a long time, and you think he's a good pick as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, straight away you look across to his average tackles. I mean, if you see anyone in the 3s, that's usually amazing. You've usually got Repka high up because he's got 20 for aggression and close to 20 for bravery, which usually dominates that. He's currently almost at double the rate. So with him, it's an interesting thing about Horizon. He's actually got all of his stats are set before the game starts, apart from 7 different ones behind the background, and those are really key ones. So determination, which he's obviously got 13 here. is one of the ones that goes, and that's obviously very important for the players. Consistency, which is a hidden stat that you can't see, so we don't know what that's at, but I can only imagine that's got very high because of how well he's been doing. And also his set pieces, which has gone down to 8 here. So that's why I said earlier there's a chance he might have been getting those key passes from there, but it obviously doesn't look like they've selected him for that. There's a few other ones as well, like his right foot and a few other things, but in injury proneness as well, which is randomised. And that's why a lot of people, if they do sims on Horizon, won't see that he plays that many games because he can get injured quite a lot. But that's obviously because he's been given a random number to that, and we won't know what that is unless you were to scout this particular file. I don't think you want to give that to me, though, do you?
No, I'm afraid not. Sorry. Got to keep some things a mystery.
So yeah, we're never going to know that, unfortunately, until he starts getting injured. But at the moment, I mean, he's probably the best value pick in the game, right? You can play him home or away. You can rely on bonus. You can even get attacking returns, apparently.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, he's doing well. Technique 19, I've just noticed there as well. It's like almost got perfect technique, like almost Zidane level technique for him and Horizon.
Yeah.
Right, Leeds missed the next 2 games, so I'm almost tempted to skip them. They've got a European match, but we'll have a quick look. So Lee Bowyer there is out for 3 months, as we previously discussed, which opens the door for Baka maybe and Maybury. Harpal Singh is out for a few days. He had a good game actually the other day. Mark Viduka is on international duty. So is Danny Milosevic. So is someone else who I can't find right now. Jacob Burns, wherever he is.
He is at the bottom left.
There we go. Jacob Burns. Oh, and he's also ineligible. But so yeah, they missed the next. So they got Milan away. Their next league game is until the 17th of December, so they're pretty irrelevant. We move on to Leicester, rather. So Leicester, everyone's looking fine at Leicester, apart from Edie, who's long-term injury. And yeah, not much else to report at Leicester. Who have Leicester got in the double game week? So they've got Sunderland home, Blackburn away. What do you think of Leicester assets?
Yeah, I think it doesn't really. I think everyone who is free hitting, and a lot of people have got them anyway, are just going to have them regardless. So I think the defenders are fairly good. I think Taggart's 4 million, right, and he's doing very well on bonus. So I think he'll be included in a lot of teams, even if he's sat on the bench just as a backup.
Yeah.
But obviously you've got Scowcroft for the potential goals, and Sturridge. They're both just doing so well at the moment.
Yeah.
I think they have got one good game in there, really. I think the home to Sunderland is a good game. I don't think the Blackburn game is particularly good for them. I mean, they could get attacking returns in that because Blackburn will play their offensive formation.
Yeah.
So there's a chance. But yeah, I don't really think it matters what I say. They've been so good in this that people will probably have 2 or 3 people from them anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, players like Jerry Taggart are classic bench boost material as well. I feel like they could do really well. Right, Liverpool. So Liverpool are actually just an injury mess like always. So Owen's long term. Reece has got another 3 weeks to go. Didi Hamann came off against Walsall and is out for a week. Smeetser is at 90% with 2 weeks to go. Heskey is at 90% with a few days to go. Berger is at 90% with a week to go. Diomed is at 90% with 2 weeks to go. And Litmanen is at 90% with a month to go.
Just click last match for Liverpool a second. So they played Heskey injured against Walsall.
Yeah, and they played him against Cheltenham in the last round. He came off injured, didn't they?
So they didn't learn from that last time then. Brilliant.
They seem like quite up for just injuring their players as much as possible.
I think that's going to that tells you right there for me that Heskey will play. I mean, it's only a solo this time, but he's now going to play, I would say, in 15, and obviously runs the risk of getting injured again just in time for the double.
Yeah, so they've got a decent game this week and then a lovely double game week in 16. And
Deportivo before that, so yeah. He's at risk of reoccurring, unfortunately.
Yeah, would you jump on Liverpool players ahead of 16, or will you just tackle that when you come to it?
I've already got Bishkan and Hippier, so I'm kind of well set up. It's just whether I want to add a third one. I might look at Huncho. I mean, if you've got someone like Ashley Cole who's away to Bolton on that day, I think that you could potentially justify a hit to Huncho and then just hope he gets one clean sheet, because then he'll certainly match him. If he gets any more, it's a bonus. But yeah, I mean, quite a lot of people have got Fowler. I'm not particularly a fan, but I can see why. It's obviously 2 fantastic home games and he's potentially on penalties, so
yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Danny Murphy's on 86%, just to point out. So he could be at risk of at least being pulled off early if he starts. It's just one to flag. A few people own him. Oh, that's Liverpool again. Man United. So we move on. Man United. So against some weaker players, Dennis Irwin's on 84%, but generally sort of mid-90s around after their match against Middlesbrough. Nothing much to report there in United at all.
Absolute tanks.
Yeah.
They're at 100% virtually every game. It doesn't matter how many games they play. They just almost get straight back most of the time. You see most of those their youth players they played that have gone down low. These other guys will be back up straight away.
Yeah. I mean, Man United are just amazing, aren't they? Triple up essential, would you say?
I think so. I mean, it's just the consistency factor. It's you run the game 20 times and win the league like 17 of them. So
yeah, especially now that Arsenal haven't got Vieira as well. That's a big blow for them. Right, Middlesbrough, Dean Gordon. That's the injury news that everyone wants to know. He has got a red injury. He is out for 2 weeks. He will miss the whole of the double game week. Almost certainly anyway, unless he can get back quick, he is going to miss those games. So
it does say about 2 weeks. What's that about?
I don't know. Does it usually say that?
To be honest, I've never noticed that.
No, I've never noticed it either.
So that's tricky because I looked at it and I think I'm right in saying that 2 weeks was the very day that they're home to Southampton. I don't know if we can just check that.
2 weeks, so that's...
I could be totally wrong on that.
That's only 9 days away. 8 days away. 8 days away, Southampton.
Right, so I've completely got that wrong then. So they could be back. He could be back for the Chelsea game, so he's going to miss Southampton as well.
I suppose he could be at 90% for this Southampton game.
Of course,
quite conceivably. I mean, he could even be potentially back for Bolton. It's doubtful, but I suspect he'll miss the double game week probably.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd be back for Southampton. That'd be really good for free hitters. Obviously, they don't need him for that, and then he's back for that game.
Yeah,
but looks like he might miss that one. Worst case scenario, he plays that one against Southampton and gets injured just before the. Is it the double in 17?
They've got double in 17, yeah. So they face in 17. They've got Chelsea home, Man United home. Two difficult teams, but both at home. And they've got a home game before it and a home game after it. So a nice run for Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Would you? So if you were free hit, well, you are free hitting. So no Gordon. I presume he would have been in it, but Middlesbrough defenders for you?
Yeah, this is one of those niche things with Middlesbrough. Like people have noticed that they always seem to concede one goal, and a lot of the time it's because their reputation works against them because they're a better side than their reputation lets on. They've actually they're a Rep 12 team as well, so people don't see them as a threat and therefore attack them, which can work well for their offensive assets, but doesn't really work for their defensive assets because then they end up shipping a goal because the other teams just don't. I mean, you see in this game, a lot of teams don't even bother to attack in some games. They literally do not try. So when you face Middlesbrough, everyone will always try to at least be on normal mentality, and as a result, they can ship that one annoying goal. But it works well. It works well for their offensive assets because they've nearly always got some space.
Yeah, it's interesting. So my differential tip for this week would be Festa because he's on penalties. He's got a good average rating. With Gordon out, Gordon could play left back, but usually, but he doesn't usually. But Festa will probably take that left back spot. Pretty nailed. I
think he'll be in 90% of free hit teams, I would have thought, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's not as differential as I thought then.
He'd certainly be a mine.
Yeah. I'll say Hugo Ekiog then. But Hugo Ekiog, interesting, wanted by Arsenal.
Yes.
So that's something to note. I'll pop in my shortlist so I keep an eye. They haven't put an offer in yet, but that is a transfer that happens quite a lot. So Ekiog may be off at some point.
He often goes.
Which would be a big blow for Middlesbrough defence because he's very good.
Just what was Boxic on? Sorry, someone's saying in the chat. I didn't notice.
Let's have a look.
Condition-wise,
I will sort it the other way. Yeah, Boxic is on 90%, so he's not injured, but they had the League Cup match in the week, so
yeah,
that's something to be aware of.
He'll almost certainly play, but with Boxic, he's got quite poor natural fitness, so there's a chance if he gets very tired. Is their game today?
They play. Yeah, today against Ipswich, and then obviously they've got the game on Wednesday against Bolton, so they have got quite a good recovery time.
Yeah, he recovers quite slow compared to some players, but probably lose about 15% during the game. So those that are half decent at maths can work out he might lose 15 and then gain around 6 to 7 each day. So
yeah,
there's still a chance he plays both, but he is a person that will occasionally get rested, which is annoying because I think he's one of the better strikers for this double.
Yeah, it's interesting. So who else have they got up front? Nemeth.
They've got a whole bunch of people who can play up front, haven't they? Yeah.
So anyone else from Middlesbrough take your fancy, apart from Festa, who we talked about? Who would you? Is there anyone else going to be on your free hit from Borough?
I think it's just the Festa Johnston Boxic is the triple up to have. The only other one I think to throw out there would be an Ekiog or Southgate, because it talks about bonus over the 2 games. They could easily hit 8s or 9s, and then as a result, you could get quite a lot of bonus.
Yeah.
That's strange. That's rare to see from Southgate. He usually gets a lot higher than that. You can see he's getting the tackles, so I think he'll come back. And Ekiog's been doing well, so I mean, one of those two could easily hit 4 points in both games if they concede.
Yeah.
In both of them.
Yeah. Jonathan Greening is being mentioned in the chat. He's at 90%, so I think he maybe plays one and misses one, if I had to guess, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. Marinelli might go. I imagine they'll put Marinelli or Greening at right wing and then move Johnson over to the left to cover Gordon.
Yeah, so Marinelli's on 85%, so maybe that might be midweek game. Maybe Greening for the first one and Marinelli for the second, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Right, we move on to Newcastle United. Norberto Solano is still out for 3 months. They knew about that one. Alan Shearer is on 59%. So he is a strong doubt for the game against Man United tomorrow. He is an important player for them, but that is a huge question mark over him, I would say. Would you agree?
When's they play? Sorry, I missed that. Is it today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay, so he should get, he's probably going to be a doubt. I'd imagine he misses out. The thing is, when they're orange flagged, they have a chance to return a random amount. It's quite complicated, but rather than the 7 or 8% a day, when you're flagged, you can jump up.
Okay. So he could recover quick.
So he could, and therefore he is so key for him. There is a chance he'll play while orange flagged. But if we assume he gets the 7 or 8 standard, then probably just misses out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Dabazas is on 63%. He has got a few days to go, so he's an important player for them too in a different sort of a way. But he could feature. Gavilan is on 90% with a few days to go. But Newcastle aren't a double game week team, so again, probably people aren't going to be looking to pick up these players this week. It's whether you sell them or not. Olivier Bernard has had a good introduction to the team recently. 7.75 across 4 games. He's doing well, but he's on low condition, 72%, just to be aware of. But yeah, they're less interesting this week, Newcastle, no double game week. So, team with a double game week is Southampton. Wayne Bridge is out for 10 days. So he will, again, certainly miss the first game, and he'll likely struggle to make the second one. Jason Dodd is out for 2 months. He's been in and out of the team and doing okay when he's played. And Tahar, 41% with a month to go. Chris Marsden, he's not even in the game, I don't think. 3 weeks to go. Everyone else's condition is looking okay there. Anyone Southampton interest you?
I mean, Svensson will probably be pretty popular just because he's going to play both. I feel like he might be a little bit of a trap, but he just seems to. When I did comparisons at the beginning of the season against loads of players around 6 million, he came out fairly well, but it was usually because he played every game and got his appearance points. So that, I mean, there's a real chance he only picks up 4 or 5 points over the doubles, if obviously he doesn't get a return. And for 6 million, when you can get a 4.5 defender who's more likely to get bonus, I think maybe you could look elsewhere. I mean, the games are okay for Southampton. He could easily pick up that return. It's just, I don't know. I'm undecided on him, so I think he will be well covered. I think a lot of teams that aren't free hitting have already got him in preparation as well, so he will be quite highly owned, I think.
Yeah, he came off at 56 2 games ago. He's in my zombie team, so I follow him a little bit more closely. He came off at 56 minutes. I always find I get so frustrated when players come off before 60. Like players like Kumas has done it the last 2 as well, and it's really annoying. But
I had it for 2 clean sheets on the 59th minute where they both went and got a clean sheet. I won't bang on about that again.
But you don't think it's something because that would put me off seeing like with Kumas, for instance. But do you think that's just luck of the draw, or they're having a bad game?
I think because they're one of the bad teams in the game, like Charlton are. Basically, when the guy is playing bad and it's not working, anyone is liable to a sub, even their star players. You see it with Henry. It was happening at the beginning of the season. So if the team's playing bad, they will try to change things around, and often that involves whipping off star men. They just don't care. So it's more to do with how they were performing on that day rather than a performance and selection thing. He'll start when he's fit, like nearly every game. That's part of his strong.
Cool. Okay, that's good. That's good. So we move on to our second managerial sacking, which, in the words of Ender Fallon, not my words, his words, old monkey head has been sacked from Sunderland. Peter Reid. is gone. So Sunderland won at the weekend.
Harsh.
They beat West Ham 2-0. They did get outplayed, as we talked about, but they've gone. They're sitting 19th in the league. They've obviously seen enough of the board, and they've sacked Peter Reid. So he's gone. Assistant manager Bobby Saxton, we assume, but are not 100% sure, will take control of the upcoming game.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, clicking again, I missed that.
Yeah.
He's got better stats than he did in my game. A lot of them are random for the assistant managers, but still, has no preferred style to play 4-4-2. Boo! We want some excitement from these guys.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be the manager. He'll probably get one game at most, and then that'll be it. You can see here, in terms of Sunderland's injuries, Arca is on 74%. So they play today, and they play again on Wednesday. So maybe Arca for the second game, but you're probably not going to free hit him in, I imagine. He would have been a good option, I think.
Yeah. I think Emerson's Home's still a good one. I've talked about targeting the bonus players, and I think he is one that could be a good look for the 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be under the cosh because one of them is at home to Chelsea, so you're not expecting a clean sheet from him, but I'd expect a high average rating in that game because they'll be whipping crosses non-stop.
Yeah.
So it's just which way you want to play, really. And obviously Phillips is still just, he's one of the few strikers that's on penalties. So in any game, as we saw with Hart earlier with the 2 penalties in the game, he's a good striker anyway. Usually ends up around 10 to 15 goals without penalties, and occasionally will hit. I imagine that's why you guys priced him at 9.5 million, right?
Yeah, he can score a lot.
He can score, so he's another one that people might look at for the double, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can see in the run that he's come into with Sunderland there's a lot of goals coming from Kevin Phillips. Am I right in thinking this was Sunderland, the season where he scored like 30 goals in real life this season?
It says there 99. Yeah. No, I can't. There is one when I think it was when they first came up. He got the golden boot, didn't he? Or scored 30 goals.
Maybe that was 99. I'm not sure.
But, it was with Quinn together when they both played, wasn't it?
Goal machine, isn't he? So there's Sunderland. We've got 2 more clubs to go, and then we'll just do a Q&A. So here we go with Spurs. We've got Tim Sherwood back in 10 days, but he's really been a bit part player. Gary Doherty is out for 3 months, so he's not a factor. Richard Johnson is on international duty with Australia.
That's important.
What, Richard Johnson?
Yeah, because he plays centre midfield when Selakovic has gone up to AMC.
Nice. Yeah, I would not have picked up on that.
So now we're pretty much relying on them picking Davies in centre midfield, which they've pretty much refused to do all season. Okay. So Sherwood also coming back from injury. Yukazi can play there and started the season there. He was an outside shelf to help. So
yeah. So
it looks like Selakovic might be midfield centre again.
Poyet and Selakovic in centre mid, maybe.
You would have thought by what they've been doing so far. When does Johnson come back from his international?
He'll miss. So if they got double game week or not? Yeah, they have. So he'll miss. So Johnson will miss Arsenal and he'll miss West Ham, but he'll be back for Everton.
Okay, so in that game, which is the one where Spurs can do something, you could see Selakovic AMC. That makes things tough now.
Yeah, obviously Johnson, you don't know who else for Australia got in centre mid. It looks like he'll probably play. They've got Kalina. I don't think he's alright actually at this stage, but they haven't got great centre mids, so Skoko's quite okay. But
I'd imagine Johnson will play just from reputation alone now.
Yeah, fair enough. So again, same question for Spurs. What do you reckon? Spurs free hit players, who you fancy?
I mean, I don't fancy them against Arsenal. I have, despite me saying that I've seen Arsenal spank them most of the sims I do. Occasionally, I mean, you run it enough times, anything will happen. But there's been 0-0s. So let's say that happens, then suddenly, home to Everton, even though it's Spurs, you'd hope that they have a chance of a clean sheet. So I don't think Ziga is the worst option. He has got high injury proneness and plays as the wing back, obviously. So you have to maybe get a bit lucky, but I think he could be a look. Obviously, Selakovic was, for me, he was pretty much nailed in my team. 2 games, penalties, potential for AMC. I just think he's a really good player overall. But now that he might be midfield centre for maybe both of them or at least one of them, is a slight concern. Because the thing with him, it's like I talked about the bonus. You can see there, he's not going to get bonus unless he gets an attacking return in the midfield centre position.
Yeah,
he's just not good for him. Look at his average tackles, his average passes, dribbles. He just doesn't perform well there.
Yeah.
So I guess Poyet is probably the cheaper way, and people might look at him. And then Rebrov has just been, he's been so good. If he plays up top again, home to Everton, then he's got a good chance of doing well.
Yeah.
The derby, anything could happen. I think you just got to treat that game as a bonus and just focus on the home to Everton one, I think.
Yeah. So interestingly, I was just looking at the fixtures, hadn't really picked up on this, but obviously if you're free hitting, Spurs good options. If you're not free hitting, look at that run of Spurs fixtures coming up. I mean, that's unbelievable. They've got, after the Arsenal away game, they've got 5 home games in a row, and then they've got Leicester and Blackburn away, which isn't disastrous. So yeah, they've got a great run of fixtures coming up, so they look like a good buy if you're not free hitting, especially.
Yeah, I got Slakovic and Rebrov in for this run.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for that run, it's just really appealing. There's quite a few teams that go on a good run at that point, actually. But Spurs are definitely one of them.
Yeah. Any love for Teddy Sheringham? 7.5 million, 7 goals.
Yeah, I do think he's very underrated. And now he's probably going to be AMC in this game again. It's just the fact that when you can get a Boxic for 7 who's playing up top and you've got a Sheringham for 7.5 in AMC, it kind of sways you that way. But he is highly consistent, so yeah, okay. He's a decent shout.
Nice. I saw Planet Field James Johnson absence is a big plus for Arsenal, which sounds like you're getting your excuses in early there, James. We'll have to see. I guess you're going to need it when Francis Jeffers scores 4 goals. Right, West Ham, last team that we go through. So let's see. So last week we announced West Ham had signed Jermaine Genius. Just so you can see Jermaine Genius, he's a 4.5 million midfielder. We probably shouldn't have added him to the game, but just wanted to add Jermaine Genius in because he's a player that's still playing. Oh,
I've met him a few times in real life. He's a nice guy.
Is he on Planet? Is that on a FPL show?
No, I used to do some work for BT Scorezone, and I used to get to sit in the lounge with quite a lot of the famous people, just nervously pretending not to look at them and fanboy.
Nice, mate.
Yeah.
Look how far you've come from BT Scorezone to this. You're going up in the world.
Yeah. What can I say?
Right, so West Ham condition-wise, they haven't got a double. They're pretty much irrelevant for that reason. They're on terrible form. They're bottom of the league. They've just lost to Sunderland.
And despite all that, I think they're going to probably do well. I mean, it's Fulham. Anything can happen. That game could be 4-3, and Cole could hit a hat trick. It's crazy. West Ham will attack at home. They're offensive.
Presumably, you're not going to touch them though for your team.
I mean, you'd be crazy to, right, in a free hit, I guess. But I think if you've sat there with one in your team, I wouldn't look at removing him. I think that they could easily do pretty well. I mean, the problem is Canute and Defoe and the strikers are just all not really firing, and that's usually where the strength of West Ham comes. That one of their forwards does really well, and Canute started the season well, but
just looking at Di Canio, because he was high in the shots on the last one, no goals all season. He was one of the most popular pre-season picks, no goals.
Yeah. Another Dwight York.
Yeah, Canute. 5 and 12 isn't terrible for Canute, but yeah, West Ham struggling. I wouldn't go near them personally. So, that is club by club. We'll do... Luke, I saw you were saying you're going to do a Q&A on your YouTube channel after this. Is that right?
I might do it, unless everyone wants... I was going to, but it's getting late, so we'll see. Maybe we can get a few out
here. Nice, okay. We have gone on for a bit longer than planned. But let's... basically, if you're just tuning in for the information... That's the information you're going to get. So thanks for joining us. But if you've got questions, stick them in the chat, and I'll probably mainly just let Luke answer them because he knows more than I do, and he's been on BT Scorezone, so I'll let him do that. So yeah, get your question in the chat now. So I'll read.
Andrew's saying yellow cards for Lee. Andy Martin.
What's that? Sorry.
Andy Martin.
Is that as in over here?
He's saying look at the yellow cards, I guess, for suspensions.
Robbie Keane and Roy Keane both on 4 yellow cards, and actually Neil Maddison is also on the verge of a suspension. I've noticed because he must have got a booking in the League Cup or something. So Robbie Keane, Roy Keane, and Neil Maddison on the suspension tightrope, but it does take a couple of weeks to take effect. Just going to quickly have a look at my notes here as well, just to see if I've missed anything crucial. In what we've seen, Juan Pablo Angel is on international duty. That's something we didn't mention, and everything else we talked about. So
there's quite a few questions now. Brad saying is Rickard nailed for Borough?
What do you reckon?
I don't think he is nailed, but he is a player who can do very well, and he's the preferred option next to Boxtitch. So I would suggest he probably will play two, but it's just one of those things where you can't guarantee it. So yeah, he could work. I've seen seasons where he scored a load of goals. He is a reasonable player.
Yeah.
It's not really worked for him so far, has it?
Yeah, no, he's not had a good. He's had a Dwight York season, but
He's had a York.
if you want to go differential, you could go for him. You never know.
Ram saying, how does the managerial change at Villa affect Staunton? Well, we haven't got a new manager yet. The thing I'll say is Villa's last team they played in the league is usually their team that they start the season with. So I don't know if you can go to the fixtures tab and look at their last league game.
What, Villa?
Yeah. Because I don't think Staunton played, did he, if I'm right?
No, he did not. And that was
Right.
in 5 at the back.
So yeah, that back five that you see there is usually what Villa played. Staunton doesn't always get a look in. It usually rotates with Wright. But for some reason in our sim, Alpi wasn't particularly favoured, and that gave Staunton away in there and at left wing back because he occasionally rotates with Wright. And obviously can play in the midfield centre where they had a few injuries.
Yeah.
So the fact he can play 3 positions is good for him. He could come in at any point, but I would start... Staunton's quite old in the game. I don't even mind clicking him. He's 32, maybe 30. He gets to 33 by the end of the season, I think.
He's 33. Let's have a look.
Yeah, he gets to
32.
All right, so his stats will start to drop now heavily, and it's what I've talked about in the past. That is, the game picks players based on their current ability and their reputation. So his reputation is still pretty high, but his current ability will starts to drop every day now. So at some point he'll get phased out of the team. It might have already started, but with a new manager, they could suddenly play a new formation, and he's back in. We just don't know.
Yeah. So I think if they play 4-4-2, without you saying the assistant manager, I would say Staunton suddenly becomes a much less good pick because of the stuff you just said. But obviously, Carr, Barry, Alpine.
Yeah, he won't play. He won't play if they play 4-4-2. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, so I would say if they get a 4-4-2 manager, that could be the death of Staunton just before his double game week, unfortunately. But we'll have to see. We're not. They obviously haven't got the manager before the double game week. But if this guy John Dean is the manager, he's 4-4-2. So we'll have to see what happens there. Saw Dan Buchanan, who's one of my mates, asking for Sam, but I showed you that, Dan. Evening, Dan. Feel free to pick some more questions out there, Luke. I'm just going to look up what I can see. Don't know who Pamaski is, but he's not in there. So.
Oh, he's the assistant manager. He's the Greek god. Go to go to Olympiakos. Pomasaki, I think it is. Yeah, there you go. Watch his stats. Watch this.
Oh, yeah, nice.
There you go.
He could be the next Sunderland manager.
He's the guy you get in as your assistant manager every game.
Nice, I've never heard of him. Missing a trick. Right, what else have we got? Thoughts on Dublin as a differential for the double game week? If not...
Dublin's an incredible striker in the game, but he doesn't really get the game time. I know he might play one of them because Angel's not playing, right?
Yeah.
He's dominant in the air, so I mean, I've seen Sims again where he hits 20, 25 goals, but if he's only going to play one, I don't really think he can go there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Balaban, if you want a different Villa striker, I'd go for Balaban personally, but...
Yeah, he can do well as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, anyone can do well in any individual one.
Yeah. You pick out some questions, mate. I'll just browse on through the game.
Are Leicester always high scoring from later hours? They're not usually this high scoring, no. So it's a bit of a freak at the moment. But they've got the games to continue to do it. A lot's got to do with how they set up. And they often sign quite a lot of players. I mean, this one they signed McAnuff, right? Is that the only one they've signed? I think it might be.
Yeah, I think so.
Which makes them really tricky to sort of judge them over Sims because they'll often sign quite a few players that then affects them. Like Skokov, for example, might play right wing for the whole season. And Akinbayi, who's not getting a look in, I don't know if we can click them, will quite often start the season as one of their strikers. I think you guys priced him higher than all the others.
I thought Akinbayi would play more than Sturridge, so that's why...
Yeah. I mean, Sturridge normally does play the most, but Akinbayi can partner him, and he obviously hasn't, so that's affected things. So they're just a tricky one to know over multiple Sims unless you individually go into it. But now I would say Scowcroft and Sturridge are just going to continue to be their front men. Benjamin, if you click on Trevor Benjamin, he's a legend as well. He's actually got really good stats in the game. As you can see, a really high determination. He hasn't got the best finishing, but he's pretty good.
Quick and strong, isn't he?
Yeah, and he can score goals. So I don't think he'll come in, but you might see I mean, I expected more rotation than we're seeing from a lot of these teams, actually, to be fair. And Leicester are one of the teams that I had down for a little bit more than we've seen. But I think Dennis Wise, Scowcroft, Sturridge are just excellent buys at the moment.
Dennis Wise is having an amazing season so far. Amazing.
Yeah, he's really good with the set pieces, and it's just a great. He's like a John Collins, I was gonna say a mini John Collins. They're both tiny.
So a good question from Chris Hermitage. Regardless of money, who are the 3 best picks for Week 15 in your views?
The 3 best picks,
regardless of money.
Well, I think you probably have to have Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank in there. I would like a Chelsea defender as well, so I'm going to, at risk of him only playing one, say Melchiot is one that I really like. And then Slakovic would have been one that I'd said, but now he's playing midfield centre. I don't know whether I can say him. I'd say probably it's going to be one of the Middlesbrough boys.
Yeah.
Johnston, Fester, probably the 2 most reliable. Still like Boxic, but one of those 2.
Yeah. I'm going to say Johnston, Fester, and Rebroff would be my 3 picks, I think. And
really fancy Rebroff, yeah.
Well, I definitely would want him for this Everton home game, and they could easily. I mean, Tottenham seem pretty free scoring. They could easily score against Arsenal, even if they lose, which I would expect. And I definitely would want a Tottenham attacker for that. So 2 bites of the cherry, I'd go for Rebroff personally, or yeah, maybe Kevin Phillips actually. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot. That's what I mean about there being a lot of strikers, and it's so hard to. That spot is just so key. I mean, I don't know how everyone else feels, but every week, basically, my week is dependent on did my strikers score, and in particular my captain, and then who got bonus for the rest of my team. There's no clean sheets or assists or goals from any of my other players virtually.
Yeah.
It's just I need bonus and my strikers to score. So that's kind of why I think getting your strikers right for this double game week, and then looking at bonus for the other players is probably a good play.
Yeah.
You just can't rely on. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 clean sheets every week, and usually one of those is Arsenal or Man United.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, yeah. So I think Fester's a great pick. I think I'll say Phillips and Rebroff as my other 2 because I think they're great. But I was going to say Man United players is the other one I thought about saying is just to get a main. Andy Martin has been looking at it as well, and he's been saying that he thinks that Man United will do well.
Yeah, me and Andy had a long discussion about that one night where we were trying to look for a sim where Shearer would score against Man United or they wouldn't smash Newcastle, and it was a long night, put it that way. They seem to smash them quite often.
Yeah.
I have since seen a few 0-0s and stuff, but again, if you look at enough games, you'll see them eventually.
Right, we got 5 minutes till 11 o'clock. I think we should look to wrap up. Should we just do really rapid fire? We'll just go through a bunch of stuff, and I'm just going to ask you to give 10-second answer to each one. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Right.
I don't know if you want to pick them then.
I'll pick them and you can answer them. It's going to be really hard to do this one quickly. How does rotation work in a double game week from Anurag? Is there much rotation or is it matchup dependent? In 10 seconds.
If their condition's fine, they will play. If they're a rotatable player for the whole season, they will continue to be a rotatable player. It doesn't act on performance.
Okay, great. So Carbone for this week? Question mark with tears of laughter from FPL Graphics.
I'm just going to say no.
Okay.
I just don't know. I can't trust him to play both.
That's fine. Balaban. What do you think about that?
It's a no from me. There's too many good other strikers.
Okay. Will Liverpool spend during this injury crisis? From Ryan Foley.
No idea on that one.
Okay.
Transfers are mad in this game.
James Planet FPL. Luke, in your opinion, considering your Sky experience, what would be a good final overall rank? Top 20? Question mark.
What, in this or in Sky?
I presume in this. Or maybe in Sky, I don't know. But let's say both. What's a good overall rank in both?
I think top 50 would be something to be pretty happy with.
Yep.
I'd happily take that.
Yep. What about in Sky? Or is that what you're talking about?
Oh, Sky. I go for top 100 every season, but really I want top 20. Yeah.
Nice. Wow. So you want to finish higher in Sky than this? That makes me feel.
Well, that's got 50. Okay. That's got like 50 grand for a reward. So let's just.
That's true. Dalan says best 3 strikers on a free hit. We've talked a bit about it, but if you had to go, what would you say? Best 3?
Honestly, I still think Henry. I'd go Henry, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, and one of Boxic is probably the one that teases me. I think Rebrov, Boxic, Phillips are all good.
Okay, cool. FPL coach, can you recommend a goalkeeper for the double game week?
I think you just go for one that's going to be getting battered and possibly get clean sheet points. So we all not clean sheet points, sorry, save points. I don't think there's any you can rely on for 2 clean sheets.
Yeah.
So yeah, we know who's likely to get battered. Some of the weaker teams. I'm actually looking at Jones from Southampton potentially, for example.
Oh, you are looking at him. Okay, interesting.
Just because, yeah, I think in one of the games he might get battered, and in one of the games he has a chance for a clean sheet.
Okay, cool. Jose Vargas, we've sort of covered this. Who are the good double game week defenders? Is there anyone we haven't mentioned who you would want to add?
I think there's people won't go there, but you've got the likes of Hendry from Bolton and Cooper from Bolton who just get bonus again. They're not going to win any games, but they're going to win headers and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're probably under the radar a bit.
Okay, cool. Jack Brokenshire, Salakovic or Scowcroft?
I love Salakovic so much. I'm still going to say Salakovic.
Okay, I'm going to say Scowcroft for this game week, just because I think that Arsenal game's not so good. Are Leicester always so high scoring from late riser?
Oh, I already answered that one.
Okay, great. I think we're pretty much there. I'll have a little look into repetition ones now. We'll go back to the bottom. Andy Martin wants Ricks to come in. That is disgusting. Who's going to get relegated this season?
Oh, bloody hell. Go down to the bottom of the table.
Oh, this is the away table. I'll just click the bottom there if anyone wants to take a screenshot of that.
Who do you think, first of all? I'm going to put you on the spot.
I'm going to say West Ham, Southampton, and I think Sunderland will be okay. I'm going to say West Ham, Southampton, and Derby.
I'm going to go, yeah, I think that's probably right. I'll stick with the ones in the bottom there. I've got to be different, right? I'll stick with the current bottom three.
Okay, nice. Okay, there are still some more questions. General's asking which goalkeeper on a free hit. We sort of just discussed that one.
I think the Bolton one's pretty good as well, by the way.
The Bolton goalie?
Because I imagine Chelsea will fire shots in all over the place. They'll have like 15 shots or something.
Yeah, I think I'd try and target one that... I mean, Peter Schmeichel got Southampton at
home. I think he's the one to go to if you think that there might be clean sheets in this.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah.
So...
What about... Oh no, Derby have only got one game. That's a shame. But yeah. Casey Keller, save points versus Arsenal. Maybe save points versus Everton.
Could be, but I can also see another Gerrard 3. He's not really that good of a keeper in the game.
Yeah, that's true. Bit of a waste of a Spurs spot as well. 1 week striker punt. Okay, one striker. If you had to have one striker, what would be your one pick?
One striker? I'm going to say Henry because no one's going to go with him.
Okay, great. Henry is your pick. That's nice. I think looks like we are there with the questions, and I think we've just about managed to nail the time. Okay, we've done it. So we've hit 11 o'clock. It's been a very long stream, but it's been a good one. Some really good tips out there, Luke. You are incredible with your knowledge of this game. It's unbelievable. So thanks for all the content you're putting out as well. Not just what you've talked about tonight, but all the different stuff that you've put out there over the last month or two has been absolutely amazing.
It's not a problem. Believe me, you guys have... I mean, despite me playing it for, 20 years now, close to... obviously doing it from a fantasy perspective completely changes the way you look at certain things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of breathed new life into the game. So thank you to you guys. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I'm happy to do that. All good. And I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks. So we've got obviously the double game weeks to happen. We've got Wednesday night, 8 p.m. We've got games that will be also on Planet FPL Stream. Thursday night, 8 p.m. also on Planet FPL Stream. We'll also have various other things happening later in the week. We've got jobs news. We've got all sorts going to be happening. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting week for sure. We've also got European ties coming up, which we haven't even talked about tonight. So all sorts happening. But thank you for joining us, Luke. Lovely to chat with you. Thanks to everyone in the chat for getting involved as well. This is our long farewell as I get to YouTube to say goodbye. But thanks for joining us and have a great week. Stay safe, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we are offline.